the decision to charge Abdul Muttalib as a criminal defendant and not treat him as an enemy combatant?
Well, Chris, the charges didn't happen until several days later. FBI interrogators believed they got valuable intelligence and were able to get all that they could out of him.
All that they could.
Yep.
There was an AP report yesterday that said he was only interrogated for 50 minutes. 50 minutes and 30 hours is an enormously different time sequence.
Well, I think a timeline, I think some of that information we're certainly trying to gather.
Is 50 minutes just wrong?
That's one of the questions that I've asked somebody to pull up.
Well, there is still no clear explanation of the timeline here about when the decision was made to charge Abu Muttalib, the man now charged with trying to blow up that airliner on Christmas Day. Now we know from court documents that he was Mirandized, charged December 26th, the day after the attempted bombing. We also know from testimony that FBI Director Mueller was asked, were you contacted about whether or not this individual should be treated as an unlawful enemy combatant or civilian criminal? His answer? No. What about this? We're back with the panel. Steve.
Well, I think, one of the things that has to cause concern is the fact that Robert Gibbs, a month after the attack, can't give the very basic timeline of how Abdul Muttalib was handled by the administration, by the intelligence community. The president called for and received the results of an exhaustive review that was supposed to have given us the answers to all these questions. I am totally befuddled as to why he can't answer that very basic question. But on the bigger issue, the real problem here is what Gibbs said yesterday with Chris Wallace, where he said that the FBI in this 50-minute interrogation had gotten everything they could get from him. That is a preposterous claim. There is no way that that is true. No FBI interrogator worth his salt would ever tell you that that was true. And it doesn't take into account the kinds of intelligence that we could be pulling from Abdul Muttalib today. If we had new intercepts that mentioned somebody that Abdul Muttalib was in contact with when he was in Yemen for 4 months, we could ask him about those contacts. We could ask him about these people. What was this person's role? What were they doing? How did they report to the leadership? How were they recruited? We don't have an opportunity to do that anymore because when he was Mirandized less than 12 hours after he was taken into custody, he stopped talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions here that haven't been answered. I think the FBI has to explain why it got everything it thought it needed in less than an hour, which seems really speedy. I don't know anything about interrogations, but that seems awfully short.
Not only that, he was said to be drugged at the time because his injuries from the attempted bombing.
Yeah, so there are a lot of questions that still need to be answered, and there also are a couple gaps between what the FBI or intelligence agencies knew about him at the time that don't appear to have been communicated to the president in Hawaii. The fact that the president came out and said he was acted alone when they knew at that time that he had connections to al-Qaeda on the Arabian Peninsula.
Do you think, Mara, that Eric Holder, the Attorney General, is in some trouble here politically if the White House named him as making the call to charge this guy criminally?
You know, Gibbs's answers sound like he was trying to kind of put some distance between the White House and the Justice Department, but I actually don't think Holder is in any trouble. I mean, that certainly seemed like the body language, whoa, this was Holder's decision, and, you know, we didn't make the decision. I don't think that Holder could be making the decisions that he is if he didn't have the full backing of the White House. I
want to play this soundbite really quickly. This is from President Obama's 60 Minutes interview in March, and John McCain reacting this weekend.
Do these folks deserve Miranda rights? Do they deserve to be treated like a shoplifter down the block? Of course not.
To give this individual a trial in civil court, which then gave him his Miranda rights, and he was lawyered up. He was cooperating until he got a lawyer. Now that makes it almost impossible for us to pursue the leads that the Christmas bomber might have. That, to me, is unbelievable.
Charles?
Well, then it's almost unanimous. You get the president saying last year, as president, you don't want to give him a Miranda rights. You get John McCain saying it's absurd. You get the head of the director of national intelligence today saying it was a mistake. And the only person out there who says it was the right decision is the president's own press spokesman on the weekends and speaking on behalf of the president and the administration. The gang can only not shoot straight, it can't speak straight, it doesn't even know what its position is. It's standing on a decision that everybody knows was a mistake. It won't admit it. There appears to be no way you can undo it, and the result is we're losing intelligence from a source who could know what's happening today from an active, hostile cell of terrorists.
That's it for the panel, but stay tuned for the latest PR effort from one group always in the news.